Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen from Player Attack. I'm here with Mike Reed from Crytek. We are talking about Crysis 3, which we got to look at this morning. And as you say, it must be played loud and it must be played as immersive as possible because it looks incredible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've done a lot of work on it. We're coming to the last of our cycle now and just getting ready to deliver the game for February of next year.
Oh, I can't wait. It looks amazing. I mean, all of the Crysis games have always looked great. So what is it that people can particularly look forward to in terms of visual appeal? How is this one a step up from Crysis 2?
So yeah, I mean, this is a huge step up from, we entered into the market with Crysis 1, and that was something that really pushed PCs hard, and everybody was like, wow, the visuals are so awesome in this. But at the core of it, I mean, the game was still really good. And I think, so people were focusing so much on the visuals and how hard it was pushing PC hardware. So Crysis 2 saw some technical challenges and things that we had to go through to take our engine a little bit further. So it kind of pulled us back a little bit, and that was mainly getting it to work on consoles. And a lot of people were skeptical that we were going to be able to do it, but we ended up achieving that and putting out a pretty solid game. We wanted to do a lot more, but I think we still did a pretty damn good job on it. But we learned a lot from both of those first two games, and we wanted to come back with Crysis 3 and really sit that in between the first and the second game. But not just focusing on visuals, but focusing on visuals and gameplay and sound and cinematics and all of these things, and really bringing all those things up quite a few notches.
It's interesting that most people say that they go from the first to the second to the third and they're all step ups. You're almost saying that it's not quite a step backwards as such, but can you explain how this will fit between the first two?
Yeah, so there's a number of things. I mean, one is the environments. I mean, if you look at Crysis 1, very open jungle, trees, forests, those kind of things. And then Crysis 2, you had this urban environment with buildings and streets and urban grids and those kinds of things. So coming back to those, we really wanted to go, okay, I mean, there's a lot of things that are almost like a step back. I mean, because we're coming back to a jungle again, as we are in the first. And that throwback of going, okay, you were hunted before, but now you're becoming the hunter, which is also a bit of a throwback, and you're back in the jungle, and you have this cloaking ability, so now you've got a bow that's tied into it as well. So a lot of things are a throwback. We didn't want to rip the whole franchise down and start it over to go, that's how we're going to create something better, but really identify from our past and take those best elements and finish this part of the trilogy off really strong.
So potentially new games after this trilogy, but potentially new games in the same or in a similar universe might tear everything down and start again to see where you can go.
Yeah, I think we refer to it, I mean, we're starting to refer to it as the Crysis universe, and things we've done over the last 5 years to build this franchise. I mean, originally this was targeted as being a trilogy. We're at Crysis 3, we're going to deliver Crysis 3 in 2013, but I think that we've created a strong franchise in the Crysis universe to take this in a number of directions, whether it's an inline story or whether it's some alternate kind of thing. I mean, we have a lot of strong background in ways that we can take this, and I mean, even experimenting with different game styles and game modes, and not just sticking to the FPS theme, but experimenting with a lot of things. So the future's pretty bright for the Crysis franchise, I'd say.
We're looking for the RPG, I think, next, isn't it?
Well, some people like to go into that. RPG, RTS, a mix of the two, or
Card games.
Card games. Oh well, we actually announced a board game recently. So that's coming out. That's actually pretty cool. I played that about a month ago. But we have a lot of
graphics are incredible.
The graphics are incredible on it. Actually, the little figurines are pretty highly detailed. But yeah, it's good fun. So we're expanding out in a lot of different ways. Not just in the game space, but also in the physical space as well.
So Crysis 3 is coming out. It's set in New York, effectively, underneath a massive dome. With games these days that are going so much for the realism and you can actually recognize places, I know that yes, it's not quite set in a recognizable Manhattan, but if you look around, are there actually real places that you might be able to spot?
Yeah, there's real places and real landmarks that you're going to notice in each of these. So if you go back and look at the swamps that we showed back in April of this year, you can see like signs in Chinatown in different areas. So there's these recognizable things. Or you get into the canyons of downtown and you look at these buildings and you're like, oh yeah, this is totally in an area down there. And then you get into like what we show at Fields, where we've shown some overhead maps and different things, and and recognize being in a train yard, and also looking at the silhouettes as well. I mean, we've had to alter a few things and not going, okay, just mainly for game design and level design purposes to make them work in the scenario. But there is recognizable things that people will go, okay, I am in New York.
And it's not just as simple as, oh yeah, there's the Statue of Liberty. Oh no, we are on Earth the whole time.
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of work that we've done on that. I mean, it was really taking almost shots of New York and having our artists go paint over them and go, how do we break this down and make this look terrible, but make it look gorgeous at the same time, and combining elements of canyons and islands and all of these different things to work into the scenario.
Is it a purely artistic interpretation, or has there been any study into, okay, what would actually happen if?
There has been a little bit. I mean, we didn't go to the lengths of going, yes, let's bring botanists in and all of these people in to figure that out. I mean, the internet's this great resource these days. But yes, our art team and our director Magnus basically went in, and he went and looked at what kind of plants exist in New York right now? What kind of plant existed, hundreds of years ago as well in New York when there was nothing there? And and also of course a reimagining of, if you were to throw a dome over top of this, what else would happen in here? Massive amounts of erosion, massive amounts of heat, plants that may not grow otherwise in this space if that dome wasn't there. So yeah, there was definitely some research, but not to the bringing in scientists or anything like that.
You did, however, bring in one trained professional, which was Albert Hughes, Alfred, who works on the Seven Wonders project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Albert was, our CEO Shavat he's very much been in touch with Hollywood and what they've been doing over the last while. And one of the things that came up during the production of early in the production of Crysis as a campaign was, how can we get somebody involved in this to give sort of their interpretation of the story. We researched through a variety of different people, and Albert seemed to fit in with us really well with what he wanted to deliver. So we sat down. We actually I was actually pretty new on the job, and I had to sit down with Albert and my boss and go through the map. He was awesome, really awesome to work with, really awesome to talk to about Hollywood and the film industry. But he really understood what we were doing with the Seven Wonders, and so he had his artists basically come in and do a whole comic book storyboards on this. And we sort of worked with him, and he had his editing team cutting this together. The challenges we had are really just doing this in tandem with making a game. But I mean, when I look at what the final product is, and some of the later episodes too, they're really powerful and really awesome. So I'm pretty excited to start moving on those. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Excellent, and it has been a long journey, and it's very nearly come to a climax with Crysis 3 coming out in February of next year.
Yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of different dates, but I believe it's February 19th in North America and February 21st in Australia.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.